Welcome to the Artcast. I know I've not done one in such a long time, and that's because I really had a hard time coming up with discussions for some parts of these episodes. So instead of just kind of forcing a topic to come out, I decided I'm going to shift it around a little bit and change and add some new segments to this show and see what happens. So I'll be very curious to see what your guys' feedback is on this particular episode of the Artcast. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit quickly, is my Patreon. As you guys know, I have a Patreon. If you want to support me, feel free to check it out. There's all kinds of rewards there that you can go through. But I want to talk about the Artcast goal in particular because you might be asking, Theo, why are you doing an Artcast if the goal's not hit? Um, the way I want that goal to work is that it should always be up to you if you want to support something. It should never be like a forced thing or a thing where I punish the viewer for not doing the thing I want. So the way I've been having this work is I'm gonna still work on the archives. I'll still do them. They'll just be a little more infrequent and to my convenience. While if you want the show to be more consistent and be like once a month, you're gonna naturally want to support the show on my Patreon. Otherwise, it's fine either way. I don't want it to be a punishment or something like that because it doesn't benefit me. If I don't do the show, it's not gonna get any better. If I keep doing it, it might get better, and it might be a better show because of that. So I'd much rather keep doing it and having it be like, hey, if you want, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. That kind of situation. So that's how I feel about it. So hopefully that makes sense. So with that said, let's move on to what everyone loves about these dark casts. So where I talk about my art books. I have a huge collection, as I said, and I pick usually one book to talk about, but this time I'm going to talk about two books because one of them is a very short book, so it'll be very quick to get through it. So let's get on with it. I'm going to talk about the Kanuko Sketchbook Volume 4. She did 3 other volumes. You can buy them digitally for $8 at least each. Um, I don't know when she'll put this up for digital just yet. I don't know. She usually does like physical first, then she sells it digitally. The way that she does physical is that she sells at conventions she attends. And for some reason, Anime Expo last year said no to this, which is bullshit. But she sold this online. I snagged my copy as soon as it dropped. Um, so I don't know when she's gonna resell these. I know she wants to sell them again physically. It's just that it's a little bit harder for one person to handle. It's not like she's a company. But I was like about this art book. It's a really good book. I really love her sketchbooks. All of her volumes are really good, so you can't go wrong with picking one. I would say if you really want a good one, I like Volume 3. It's pretty good. Volume 2 is also really good. All of them are honestly great. You can't go wrong with either. Volume 3 was my first one I bought, and then I bought 2, then I bought 4, then I bought 1. So it's very, very weird how I shifted around. But Volume 4 is really good, and what I like about her sketchbooks is that you see a transition of her skill. Like you do see her get better over the years because this covers 2017 to 2019, I believe, and it is just gorgeous looking going through her through this book. So I'm gonna open a random page and I'll show you just a little taste of what you might expect in a Kanuko sketchbook. So, oh, random page, dude. You see Wonder Woman, and you see two random women on the side. I think she looks like a Game of Thrones character, but I don't think she is. But you get these two characters. You get this. As you can see, it's all black and white. There is some grayscale in it. There's not a lot of color in this. I don't think there is color in her sketchbooks usually. But I love the character designs. You might see me during streams, referencing this book, going through this book, and trying to get ideas. And out of a lot of times when I'm stuck on a design where I don't know what to do with the character, this always is there to help me get through it. I always get some kind of idea going through this book, and it's a good source of inspiration. If you're stuck on drawing a hairstyle, figuring out some clothing stuff that's a little bit different, if you're in a rut, her sketchbooks help you so much of just getting ideas flowing through your head of what might work, what might not work. I really like that about her sketchbooks. There's a lot of cool ideas mixed in. which I really liked. This book really helped me a lot when I'm doing drawing streams and I'm stuck a on a particular skill or design that I'm stuck on. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do with her hairstyle. Because I keep doing the same bangs, I keep doing the same ponytail, and I always get stuck thinking I need to change something. And her books kind of help me get through some of these blocks and ruts I find myself into, which is always helpful. So I highly recommend her sketchbooks. They're really good. All of them are amazing. If you get Volume 4, however you get them in the future, I definitely recommend it. It's paperback. I don't blame her for that because, she's independent with this. It's not like she's a company, but it does a really good job of holding the pages in. I've not seen any wear and tear with this. The only wear and tear I get is if I leave it down flat, the cover slowly curls a little bit. You kind of see a little bit of that right now. It's not bad, but it's important that it holds the pages in place, which it does, and it doesn't like you're not stuck like, oh, I can't see the artwork, so you get a good like visual of it. It's well balanced, and I love the organization that there is in this. There is some order with it. It's kind of like the beginning of it's like kind of original or fan art kind of drawings. Then you get into like the NSFW stuff. Then you get into her own like work for work, pretty much. Like she has indivisible artwork in here. Like she has. I'll show you one more because I think this one she posted on her Twitter. Uh, she posted this little uh, speech with Tarani and Ajna, which is a really good segment where Tarani says, "At first, I hoped you might be one of us, but you're so much cuter than any Deva, like a precious doll. I just want to eat you up." And then Ajna says, "Haha, I'm not that cute." And Tarani says, you are." Like very lovingly. Tarani has a lot of mom energy, which I really like about that character. But I like a lot of stuff. I posted the little picture of Razmi in the tiger pajamas, which I really like. That should be a real thing. Someday. But I do like her the sketchbook. It's really good. I love the cover of this one. It's just a great character. You might see some similarities. There is one poster I'm working on that I want to sell soon. I call it Jasper Kitty, and it's pretty much inspired by this girl. I really like her design. You know what I mean? The other book I want to get into, again, I would recommend Kanuko's sketchbooks. Any of them are really good. So if you can only pick one, Volume 3 is pretty good. You can buy 1 through 3 right now. I don't know when 4 will come back. Maybe during the summer this year, maybe. I don't know. But I recommend getting these sketchbooks. They're really good. The next one, as you guys know, I started watching Ava when it was on Netflix. I did a few videos about Ava. Really good show. Really enjoyed it. So when I saw this on Amazon, I jumped on it. The Evangelion Production Art Collection, the TV animation production art collection. Oh my god, that's a mouthful. This I was really hyped for when I saw it. I will say I thought this would be a little bit bigger. This is a little bit smaller than I thought. I thought it'd be a little bit longer, or wider, I guess. But it's not bad. It's published by Udon, which does a lot of good work. They do a good balance of hardcover and paperbacks. But I think now they're slowly doing more and more hardcovers from what I'm seeing. Um, they're mostly known for Street Fighter and their Dark Stalkers kind of books they put out. Udon is really good with that kind of stuff. They have a really good support with Capcom, if I'm not mistaken. But they made this book, uh, and it is a really good collection. If you're a fan of Ava, this is a godsend to you. This covers the TV series all the way to the end of Ava movie. This does not cover the rebuilds at all, so don't expect the rebuilds to show up in this. Um, which is fine. I mean, the rebuilds are a little bit newer, so that might be their own little beast to have, I guess, at some point. But This is a good book for longtime fans and even for casual fans and or maybe even people that haven't watched the show because this is a lot of good sketches in it. Uh, I would kind of slightly compare this to the Kill la Kill model sheet I showed in another episode, which was fine, but that was more of like a collection of sketches that they gave to their animators to draw on model. While this is a little bit more sketch. This is a lot more sketch than model stuff. So I'm gonna open a random page just so you guys can see what's there. Okay, this is I opened quite a page. Random characters. These are like side characters. You probably like see like the background somewhere, uh, which is nice because it shows like this kind of the sketch ideas that they had. These are it kind of borderlines on concept to final, which I really like. There's no color in this. I don't expect there to be any color work in on this, but it's still a great collection of sketches. It goes through a lot of characters, a lot of concepts, a lot of sketches with it, and what I kind of get from this book is that it's a lot of stuff that where artists kind of land on a design and they just sketch it for a little bit to kind of get used to the character design and to express it a little bit more. And that's kind of the idea I get from this because there were a lot of sketches of Misato, for example, that are like you don't really see in the show, but you know it gives you the idea of the character. And so these are a little bit more like these sketches where they just kind of explore the design a little bit more. It's not 100% concept where it's like oh you see designs that were either scrapped or changed or whatever. You don't really see a lot of those in this book but you do see a lot of developmental sketches in this, which I really like. I love sketches like this. You go through a lot of detail, especially with the mechs. You see a lot of details, even with the equipment that the Avas use, pretty much, and it goes through all the angels as well. And it's just a great collection of sketches that you might want to kind of get into. If you're asking me, does this spoil the show or anything? I wouldn't say it does because you know a lot of this stuff with Ava is very like philosophical and is very word heavy, while the visuals are just kind of you know these are just showing the stuff that's there and it's kind of inhabiting a space, comparing side like heights between characters. It's a good book with that good collection of stuff. There's a good like it's not full on commentary on the stuff, but you do see like some of the notes that was written down from the staff that they did translate to English, so that it's a little bit nicer to see. Like, oh wow, this is what they were trying to convey to their animators or other people within the show, which I really like. So it has a good collection of work in here that spans the show, and it kind of has a lot of detail in it. It's 425 pages, I believe, and this on Amazon is $25, which is a good price. It's worth that much. I think Barnes will probably rip you off with the $40 asking price on the back of the cover you see here, but Amazon has it for 25, better price. The quality of the hardcover is really good. It like kind of holds everything in place very well. I love the cover. You see like a purple outline of Unit 1, which is really cool. You kind of like it's this weird like little reflection. On the back is Unit 1's head, and then you see like the shape here that's like the same shape of the danger notifications in the show. Even though it's not exactly the same because it kind of you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. But I recommend this book if you're a casual fan of Ava. I still think this is worth it. It is a very fun read to get through, and like the Kanuko sketchbook, this also kind of gives you good inspiration to get through a lot of art blocks. I find myself going through as well, so I like this just as much. I have not gone through the whole book just yet because I keep going through the character stuff. I love looking at the character designs and drawings of the CLA members, Gendo, Masato, Ritsuko, all these characters. I love just looking at their sketches, going back and just looking at them. So I have a hard time going through this. A lot like the Fire Emblem Awakening art book. I have a hard time finishing that book because there's all these cool designs with the characters I just get mesmerized by. So this guy has that same issue for me where it's like, oh man, I got through the characters. I want to look at Masato again. Oh, I want to look at Gendo again because there's a lot of cool designs in on this. So I recommend this book. It's a really good one. I love going through this time and time. So that's all I would say about the art books. So now I'm gonna move on to a new segment where I'm gonna actually review a video game. Bum bum bum. So as I said, I want to add a new segment to the Artcast, and I don't know what to call this segment just yet, but it's gonna be me reviewing stuff. So I'm going to review Indivisible. The game came out October 8th, 2019. Uh, it is on the PS4, PC, Xbox One. It's gonna be on the Switch sometime this year. There's no date just yet, but I do have faith that it's gonna be better than the Skullgirls port on Switch because at least with this, Lab Zero's involved. So we'll see how that turns out. I have faith in it, so we'll see when it comes out. So with Indivisible, I have played the prototype back when it was announced on Indiegogo. I have played the backer demos, and I played the final version, obviously. The prototype does a good job kind of highlighting a lot of the combat ideas that it was going to have, but other than that, it's very basic and very straightforward, which I thought, okay, Indivisible is going to be a straightforward side-scrolling game, which is fine. Maybe there's gonna be something that's gonna be thrown in. When I played the backer demo, I was blown away. There was so much exploration that they threw in into this little map, and it kind of gave me the idea that, like, okay, maybe there will be exploration with Indivisible. And the boss fight that they threw in was really good, where it kind of plays with in combat scenarios and outside of combat kind of stuff. And I really liked that idea. I was very curious to see how that was going to translate into the final game. So when I played the final game, it kind of hit every expectation I had, and maybe a little bit more than that, which I really liked. I like when games kind of either meet or exceed expectations, no matter how much or how little. But but with the story, gameplay, music, art style, everything, it was just a blast. So let's just start off with the story. The story starts off very simple and basic, and a lot of people might say immediately, "Oh, this is generic. This is nothing special." Where in the beginning of the game, you're training with your dad. Ajan's dad goes off. There's a village invasion, and the bad guys kill your dad, and you have to get revenge, pretty much. And that's a pretty straightforward premise, where it's like, okay, I've seen this like 1,000 times, but like a little bit like within the first 3 hours of the game or so, the story changes completely. It starts to shift and evolve into something else. You might be able to argue that, oh, it's still kind of basic, but even then, it's still an enjoyable ride. I think the journey makes up for a lot of it. And I think the story serves the design of the game. It's not something overcomplicated. It doesn't feel lazy. It serves a good point where it's actually enjoyable. Like, I found myself enjoying the story and the characters and the development of it, and I think that was all enjoyable throughout start to finish. The ending, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to get to the major nitty gritty of the story, but I really really love that ending, and I really loved the final leg of the game. It was really good how it all tied in. I really loved it. So I'm not gonna spoil it in this review. Unfortunately, for those who want me to spoil it, I'm sorry, but it's a really good game. It's definitely worth going through. The story is it was just a blast. I really started to feel for these characters. So I like the story. It was very fun and enjoyable to get through, and it kind of gave me an incentive to see the end. I really wanted to see how the game was going to end, just because of that. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to know, the gameplay. Now, a lot of people compared it. Even the developers said that they take a lot of inspiration from Valkyrie Profile. Now, how much it's better or whatever to that game, I can't really attest to because I've never played Valkyrie Profile, so I can't say if it lives up to that game at all. But for the most part, for Indivisible being my first introduction to this kind of hybrid of a genre, I liked it. I loved the the speed, how it kind of felt like it was somewhat strategic and somewhat fast, and had a good like kind of flow with it. which is kind of like it made me. Now a lot of people are gonna roll their eyes, but it made me think of Persona 5 in the sense that that flow of Persona 5 had a good pacing with it, where fights weren't slow and dragging, and it was like upbeat and moving. With Indivisible, it kind of felt like that, and I would also kind of compare it to Skullgirls with the feedback of it, where each hit just feels satisfying when you land it, and I really like that with the combat. The only thing I will say, now I know Lab Zero sent dozens and dozens of patches through this game. They have supported this game a lot, which is incredible. Just the amount of support they've been doing to it, where they've changed a lot of fundamental balancing stuff that was in the game because from what I am to understand of it is that they made it so that now the AI will actually block more attacks more often, and it's actually a little bit more challenging than it was day one, which is really good because my major complaint when I first played the game was that you never really had to think about the party. You never really had to sit there and like, okay, we're going to this part of the game, and we really need these kind of characters in my party. You never really had to think about that as much. There's only very few instances where your party member will matter for what enemies you're fighting against. Like, some enemies are immune to projectile attacks, so if you have characters that are projectile heavy, they're just going to be worthless in some instances. It's just that they're very few and far between, so you never really think about who's in your party and how detrimental that is. The boss fights are good. The boss fights do propose. They do have some challenge to the boss fights, so I wouldn't say the game is necessarily a cakewalk, but there are just instances where you just kind of wish it challenged you a little bit more. But as I said, I think with all these latest updates, they did make the game a little more challenging. I'll have to get back to you once I replay the game on this new updated version of the game. But I know they have rebalanced the game a little bit more. They fixed a lot of the bugs that I encountered. There was one time where, like, in the game, you can kind of transition between worlds just by walking around. There's like certain areas that you kind of like squeeze through that you get with later upgrades that can take you to a different world instead of going to the boat. During those segments, as the game would be loading the new world, I would jump through a wall and then I would be locked into that wall because of that, and I couldn't get out. They've patched that kind of stuff, so it's at least a little bit more stable now than it was day one, which is stuff that I kind of wish they ironed out before they shipped, but they caught it in a good time. It wasn't like that these bugs were long lingering. I mean, they got them pretty quickly, and they have very like receptive support too. So like if you are part of their Discord and you find any bugs, you can always tell them, and they are always fast to update it. I will say, if you want the best supported version, the Steam version is the best version because they are a little bit more direct with those updates, while on consoles, they have to go through 505 games to get these updates approved and sent out. So it takes a little bit longer for the consoles to get these updates, while Steam is a little bit more direct. But other than that, the game is also speedrunner friendly, so if you are a fan of speedrunning games, this game has a lot of stuff that's designed around that. So if you do some crazy stuff, you can definitely do it. The platforming is really good. There's a few parts I thought I could not do because I am terrible with finessing platforms. I'm terrible with that. Like I can't, like, there are certain Mario levels that I just struggle with because I just can't get timing right sometimes, and there were a lot of times in Indivisible where I was like, okay, I can't get past this. How can I do this? And I thought it was optional, but then it's like, no, you have to go through here to continue the story, and it really pushed me to do stuff that I didn't think I was capable of. So I like that this game kind of does push you to a degree with the platforming. It's not super tricky, but it's like this good middle ground for people who might be on my level of platforming, where it's like, we're good with platforming, but we're not like tricky with it. So I like that as well. The platforming balancing is fun. And each button pertains to a certain item you have. In the prototype, you would have to go through a scroll menu to select weapons. Like, you have to like equip the bow and arrow to use the bow. You have to equip the axe to do the axe jump, that kind of stuff. But in the final game, they made it so that each button pertains to a weapon to use for platforming. So if you have like, so once you get the spear, for example, and you see like, oh, there's a platform here that's full of spikes, and I can't get through here. The if you jump and do down and square, you'll start to pogo off the spear, so you can get through that. So I do like that each button pertains to an item, so it makes it a little more like smooth to kind of get through some platforming. Some people have criticized that, saying like, oh, well, this kind of locks you into a play style, and you can't really change your equipment during the platforming segments, which is, I kind of agreed with that, but at the same time, I never really thought about, okay, I really need to get this axe equipped or whatever. It does a good job kind of giving you that balance of each button having a thing to do, and it's not like you're locked into a certain play style. So I do like the platforming with it. The boss fights are just like in the backer demo, where they do a mix of, okay, you're in combat, okay, the boss runs away and you have to chase it or find some way to re-engage the boss into a boss fight. I will say they definitely made the spider boss a lot easier in the final game. In the backer demo, I remember having a hard time getting through that spider fight, but in the final game, it was very quick and very easy in comparison. But the boss fights do get increasingly harder. The hardest one that I really liked was the final boss. That one was one of my favorite boss fights in the game. It really, really does force you to get timing down when it comes to blocking and evading, because you need to do some clean blocks or some of the attacks, otherwise you'll be devastated or be locked into like a situation where you need to land a perfect hit to beat it, which I really like. I like how the final boss really does put you to the test, and even the final platforming segments really test what you've learned in the game. It's so tricky, and I was doing a lot of stuff that I was just surprised that I was able to pull off. I was like, "Holy shit! I went through all this stuff and I did it," and it blew my mind. And those moments are stuff that are just the highlights of Indivisible, especially in the gameplay department. So I really, really enjoyed it. Uh, the art style, I love the art style. I love the sprites that they used. A lot of people have brought up the issues with the NPCs. Some of the NPCs, I agree, are a little bit lackluster, or I feel that a lot of these NPCs are a product of a lot of crunch time stuff, where, they delayed this game like 2, 3 times or so, and I definitely see like, okay, they either had something to decide, either to spend time to flesh out the NPCs completely, or just to make standard NPC icons and then polish the game. I feel like that they had a lot of choices and concessions they had to make to reach the release date, because they probably did not want to delay the game again. So I think a lot of these NPCs are just a product of that crunch, which it's sad to see, but at the same time, it's like the greater of the two evils. It's like, which one do you really want? Do you want to delay the game again, or do you want to get the game out on time and just have these NPCs that don't really have any major prominence, just kind of look kind of placeholder esque? So some of the NPCs are not that gorgeous looking, but the main cast, the main characters you interact with, all look good and look incredible. The other thing I think is a little unfair that people bring up is the backer NPCs. I kind of think that some of the backer NPCs I did not weigh down against the game, because these were all people that helped make the game possible. So Lab Zero necessarily could not turn these designs down, because they promised to have these designs in the final game. So I can't necessarily blame Lab Zero or the game for these backer NPCs, because they kind of had to fulfill this goal that they had for people who pledge a certain amount. So I can't really. So the backer NPCs I'm fine with. They're there to me, like they're not major characters. Like if they design like characters in your party, then I would say that's a problem. But these are not major characters in your party. Now the characters in your party I really liked. as well. They all are very diverse in cast. You get like a dog, you get like a girl with a robot, like a mechanical arm. You get like all these cool characters. The thing I like the most about this exploration of Indivisible is that you can go through a lot of levels and not find half the cast. Like, you're forced to meet some of the cast members. Like, you're forced to meet up with Baotsai, Tarani, Dar, Zebe, um, the dog you encounter within the story, etc. So you are on a path to recruit a lot of these characters, but there's some characters that you encounter if you explore the map enough and you do their quests. Each character that you find that's not a story related character has some quest you have to accomplish before they join your party. The other thing is that once you get the ability to change your character's colors, you unlock all these other side stories with your party members, which are really cool little mini stories that blew my mind. Like, some of them I was expecting to have happy endings and to be very like lighthearted and fun. Some of them have a lot of like interesting endings that are just like that I wasn't expecting. One of them, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's the guy who is a bounty hunter. He has like a mustache and a long ass gun. His story is really good and it's very dark in some cases. I also liked Baotsai's side stories, very straightforward and fun to kind of explore that side of her. And same with Tarani's side story. And a lot of these are really, sweet stories that you wouldn't think would be in such a game. So I do like that you unlock these little side stories that add so much to the game. After I beat the game, I went back, and you can kind of go back and do stuff that you missed a little bit, and I love doing that. So I did all the side missions of the characters. I am now on my way to getting all of the ring cells or ring cells to platinum the game. I'm like a few short to do it because they're hidden very well, and I know they also hid another secret boss in this game. There is they hid it in the backer in the prototype. If you played the prototype, you might know about this little hidden boss where it's the Doodle Cat from Skullgirls. Like, if you do the lock and loaded command move from Cerebella, there's a percentage where you'll see a Doodle Cat like walk by the screen. That cat is a boss character in Indivisible if you find it, and it's a hard fucking boss. Like, you can one shot your party pretty quickly. So I have not found that boss just yet. I'm looking for him to see how it is in the final game. I fought it in the prototype, and it was hard then, so I'm wondering how hard it's going to be now with my buffed up party. So I'll see. I'll let you guys know as I find Doodle Cat in Indivisible. It's hidden somewhere. I think Doodle Cat is somewhere in Mount Sumeru, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look for him though. Um, but that's what I like about the game as well. The landscapes are well designed. They're so nice to look at on the eyes, and it's like, oh, this is like a really cool location. There is some backtracking in this, but I would not say it's as bad as Devil May Cry 4. I think Devil May Cry 4 has the crown of the worst backtracking I've seen. I could see people being a little bummed out that there's backtracking in Indivisible, but it didn't bother me because it felt new enough when I was going back to these locations, and I like the locations all the same, so it wasn't a total bummer to go back to them. And they didn't add any cheap obstacle to make them feel different, like in Devil May Cry 4, where they just threw in like last minute things to make it seem different. Uh, so these felt a little bit more fun to get through. So I didn't have a huge issue with the backtracking as some people did, but I could see it being a little bit of a bummer. Uh, I just feel like there's a lot of stuff within Indivisible that has a lot of heart and charm to it, and the music exemplifies that a lot. The music is just, I found myself really humming along to some of the songs. One of my favorite is the Tai Krong City. That is one of my favorite tracks. That and the final boss fight theme is so good. I think that one is called Armageddon. It's such a good song, such a good track. I loved listening to it. And the track Indivisible is really good. The track of Ajna's theme is really good, which is the start menu theme. The animation that you see at the beginning of the game is done by Titmouse and Tui Trigger, so it's gorgeous to look at when you first see it. The game supports up to like 200 save files, which is insane. So I really, really like everything about this game, and everything feels fair about it. It doesn't feel that cheap uh, or ridiculous. If I were to give it a rating, I would probably give it a nice 8 out of 10. I think it's a very solid game. I think it's definitely worth picking up if you have any platform you have. It's definitely worth checking out. Uh, I had a lot of fun with it. I love the story. I love the characters. I really can't recommend this enough, and it was really almost my game of the year of 2019 because I kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about this game for such a long time, but then I played Death Stranding, and that kind of changed my mind a little bit. But Indivisible is a really strong game. It's a fun little indie game that you could pick up and play. It's very simple and friendly to newcomers, and like my only thing that I will say that kind of made me not want to give it a 9 is that I wish at some point in the future they add a new game plus to the game, or at least a difficulty slider or something, because I would love to see this game be a little bit more challenging than it is. It's not bad, the amount of challenge, but there is like, you do wish by the end of it that's like, yeah, I wish I could make this a little bit harder. It kind of feeds into my belief as to every game should have a difficulty slider, because you get games like this where you're locked into a certain difficulty, and it's either going to be a game that's super hard, or it's a game that's like okay challenge, but you want to be a little bit more challenging, and you can never up the challenge. And this is one of those games that kind of fall into that kind of predicament where it's like you're locked into this difficulty and you can't change it. Um, I know they rebalanced the game a little bit, but I just wish that there was a slider or something to make it harder, or a new game plus. Maybe there will be a new game plus mode added at some point. I've been hearing like rumors and speculation about it, but we'll see. Hopefully that happens. I'm really excited to play more of this game, and I would love to see them add a new game plus mode to it. So hopefully that happens, and I hope you guys check it out. It's a really good game, and I really do recommend Indivisible. It's out now on every platform. It's coming to Switch sometime this year, so if you're waiting for the Switch version, feel free to wait, but it's out there now on every console. It's really a good gem in the rough, and I feel a lot of people slept on this game, which is a little sad because this game has a lot of heart and passion put into it, and it really shows when you play the final game. It shows that there was a lot of love put into it that you don't see in a lot of games for most of the time. So that's it for my Indivisible review. So now stay tuned for the next segment of the Artcast. So everyone's been asking me, Theo, what is your advice on drawing, that kind of thing? And I know I've done this in a few Artcasts in the past, but it doesn't hurt to revisit sometimes. So I'll go over some of the basics and that kind of stuff, and just do a full sketch in a video, which will be fun, as we listen to the Transistor soundtrack, which is a really good game. I highly recommend that game. It is currently $3 on the Nintendo Store. If by the time of this recording, I don't know if it'll still be that by the time this is uploaded. But I would still say it's even worth the full price. It's a really good game. It's like $20 full price. So, I mean, it's either way, it's a good deal to get at $20 or $3. $3 is a steal, honestly. But anyways, always get a reference. I would say, hey, get something more realistic. Maybe draw an actor or something that you want, so that way you kind of get a good idea of anatomy. You get a better idea of stuff. But I think I'm just gonna do something a little bit more indulgent for myself and draw something that I really like. So I decided to pull up some references of the character from Indivisible, Torani. Great character. She has a lot of mom energy. She's really cool. Like the character. Big ups to Tarani. So I'll be drawing her. I got a reference here, one of the character portraits that she is in the game. I don't know if I'll do the full body of it or just the head. We'll see where we go. Okay, so I'm gonna lower the pen size. Always start with small pen size, but the way I would do it is always draw lines. Draw. Since now the width between these two lines should be, you should keep these consistent. So I'm gonna take this two, put it there, put it there, because this is roughly the space between like the tip of the nose to the chin, tip of the nose to the brow ridge, and then here to the forehead. Now it doesn't have to be neatly between these lines. You kind of improvise, because no one's head is perfectly shaped like that. There's always some weird stuff going on with it, but you have to look at it and kind of judge from there. I'm gonna put like a midline right here. Now she's like in a quarter position, her face in the reference I'm looking in. So not only will I put like a midline here, I'm also going to put like a diagonal line here. Now I'm doing this on the iPad. I have a canvas. I've been plugging this canvas a lot. The Capcom little holder for your tablet. Great device if you have an iPad or Microsoft Surface or what have you. It's a great little thing that holds your iPad in place. I highly recommend it because before this I was using the Apple keyboard as a stand, and it does good, but you have to like lean over too much. While here, like you kind of have a little bit more of a better position, and you could like position the iPad the way you want it to. So it's kind of great. I'm also gonna measure away from the midline, like here and here, and I'm gonna look at the picture. Now,
that's what I thought.
Oh my god. Sorry. Siri's agreeing with me right now about this, okay? So, I'm gonna measure this with the image, and I get, so like, the width I took from here, from this width, I'm measuring it this way as well. And her cheek on her left goes a little bit halfway, so it goes like right here. So I'm gonna just draw cheek there, and then the chin right here. I'm gonna do this. Always break it down to shapes. Never get the one mistake I could see a lot of people do when they do art, and this is like, it's a fine mistake to make. I mean, everyone goes through this. Don't get married to your lines. Don't look at a line and be like, oh my god, this line is perfect, it's great, and it's amazing. Never think that. Always be open to the idea of redrawing it, erasing it. You make a lot of mistakes if you don't accept that. That's like one of the first things. You don't get attached to your lines. Now, a lot of people think like look, we're gonna put this to the side. That when you have like a quarter head, like people think it's, let's see, that's imperfect, but people think it's like this. That's not correct. It looks like that the guy got steamrolled. There's always going to be an angle when you put them. So I'm looking at the reference. Yeah, it's not okay. Sometimes you need to get a piece of paper. Get any piece of paper. Measure, bring it to your screen or to the reference you're using. So the diagonal of it is going at this kind of angle. And always draw the skull. Always draw the skull when you draw. So I'm drawing this. Now this is kind of like an anime kind of style. So there's that. Gonna draw the nose. The nose is a little ball I like to reference it with. I'm gonna do that. Then I'm gonna draw the mouth. And then the eyes. Always draw balls for eyes. Balls. Draw balls as eyes. Because they're eyeballs. Get it? Eyeballs? Balls? Then I'm gonna draw the ear. The ear is roughly like there. Then I'm gonna just kind of start placing in the hair. Draw her lips. Sometimes lips can be intimidating because they can look kind of goofy. So I'm kind of mapping this out. Going a little bit fast and a little bit slow. Always go fast to slow. That's what my painting professor told me usually when you do that. He gave us like a few principles to kind of remember. And it's always like fast to slow, big to small, general to specific, that kind of thing. If you see me like do this kind of scribbling thing, I'm just wiping stuff off my iPad. So don't worry. It's not important. So let's see. Can we do this? Alright, now, since we're on the iPad, I'm just going to make this layer have a low opacity. A little bit lower. Make a new layer on top of it. And this is kind of where I start to kind of hammer in the lines a little bit. Now, if you're doing it on paper, you want to just, take a pencil and draw lightly the lines, and then you go in with like HB, let's say, and then you kind of go in and drawing the final lines pretty much. Oh, that's what I'm kind of doing here. I'm like taking my time as well. I'm kind of slowing down a little bit. Always feel free to move your paper around. Never keep it static when you're drawing something. Let's see. My eyebrow gonna goes down like this. And just this is the face Thorani gives if you threaten Ajna, dude. She's very protective of Ajna. Let's go to her nose. It's okay to like improvise as well. Like you don't have to do everything. Now a lot of people like always want to go in with their own style or copy someone else's style. I wouldn't say like 100% copy. You could get like inspired by someone else's style, but you have to keep like improving it on your own. You can't just learn a style and keep it because that's just kind of bad. You know what I mean? So we're gonna just draw this. eyebrow, like. And just do this. Going like a little bit detailed on this eyelash, and I'm totally aware I could be unhappy with this eyelash and have it and go back and erase it and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not concerned about that right now. I'm just trying to get everything placed together, comparing it to what looks like the drawing. Now, no, you might not get it exactly like the drawing, which is fine. You don't have to be too bummed out by that, because sometimes your own version can be. Oh, whoops. No, let's get rid of that. I'm not really convinced about that little swoop I made. It could be a little bit better. Could be a little bit better, but it's not bad. Drawing the detail of the ear. No, I'm not talking so much because I'm just trying to get all this done. So, sorry there's a lot of dead air, but at least we got music. So, I'm gonna pull back a little bit. Let's hide the back layer. Now that's not bad. I think we could kind of shade this in right now. Now I've noticed that like you can't see her ear on the left. Let's see. Her ear's visible. Gonna go with the eraser tool. Gonna clean this up. Let's get rid of this line right here. See what I mean? Like it was a nice line. I like that line, but it just didn't line up with the reference I'm using. So I might redraw some stuff, which is fine. That happens to the best of us. That's not bad. Let's put this layer back on. And our neck comes up like right here. A little choker. Or necklace, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes listening to good, relaxing music like this can really help. So if you have like a good soundtrack you have or album that gets you like really relaxed, always draw with that. There's also a little exercise you can do, which we can kind of demo right here. We're gonna do this little exercise now. We'll take a break from Tarani a little bit, and we're gonna listen to this music, and we're gonna get an idea of what to draw. Okay. So let's take a breather. So let's try. So as I was listening to that song, I kind of sketched this little out, this little jammer out, because that song is kind of about loving and never gonna be apart, etc. And I kind of figured this the guy in the background, he's like he passed on, and she's like kind of remembering him, and she has like a little locket that has like his memories, which is a lot of thinking that I intended to put in this little sketch. But who knows? Maybe I'll finish it someday. All right, back to this. Now, see, that's coming along pretty well. If I do say so myself. But we're gonna still try to get what we need from this. Now, I broke down her hand a little bit. It's like a rough sketch of a hand. Never worry about drawing bad hands. I'll tell you a little secret. Nobody can draw hands pretty well. I mean, there's literally professional artists that have like full-time jobs in art and shit who always struggle. Like, I was at the commentary track of Legend of Korra, the very last episode of season 2. Say what you will about that show, whatever. But the scene where Korra like makes a fist, that is like gorgeous to look at. Like that hand is gorgeous to look at. Like it is in like every time I look at that hand, I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like season 2 is whatever, and had a lot of like yeah 2 studios working on it. Studio Piro, which was a bad studio to go with, and Studio Mir, which has done the Boondocks and even like season 1 of Korra, season 3 and season 4. I think they've also worked on The Last Airbender, if I'm not mistaken. So they've done that as well. But the last episode was animated by Studio Mir, obviously. But that hand, that fist, say what you will, but that is a gorgeously animated fist. It had perfect motion. It had like the perfect outline for a fist. It was brilliant. It was perfect to look at. And you know, if I was working on that show, I would definitely brag about that fist. I would like put it on my resume and be like, oh man, look at this fist, man. I drew this fist, dude. Anyways, now I'm already. What the fuck? No, I don't want. Make shape stop. I'm gonna erase this whole cheek. I think this cheek is bad. Fucked up this cheek. So we're gonna erase that and redraw it because I'm looking at the reference and I always make landmarks when I look at a reference. So always look for landmarks to guide yourself. So the corner of her cheek that starts to go down, I think connects a little bit with like diagonally with like the bottom of her nose, but the beginning of the top lip. So like right here. And then like that. Gonna have to draw earrings because Tarani wants to look fabulous, dude. But look how much line work I had to do in the background, and there was even lines I didn't even pay attention to because I drew. Wait, no, I did draw on the right layer. Oh my god, I was so scared. My main fear was drawing on the wrong layer. So I think that kind of looks like her. Now, it's always important to understand that likability is the hardest thing about drawing. If you can't get the character to look like the person you're trying to draw, you're gonna be going crazy. I always go with like as close as possible. If I can't get 100%, I try to aim for like near 100. Because the closer you get, the better you're gonna get overall. And never get disappointed. Never look at your artwork and be like, oh my god, it doesn't look like this. And don't get held up on all that, you know? And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And maybe you could change it and make it work for your own character. You know? I'll just erase some of this. Sometimes when you work on like Procreate, you might not get the thinness of a pen you want. Sometimes you have to erase what you made to make it as thin as you want. Gonna finish this. Man, this kind of makes me want to play Transistor now. The one thing I've noticed when I do art is that it's very easy to lose focus with it, which always tends to happen. And it's not bad that it happens. I mean, that's just your human mind. You're kind of like working on a grind. You're always like focused on one thing, and you might lose focus, which is fine. Sometimes you might need to take a break from what you're drawing. As I said on multiple streams, and I think I said this earlier in this video, I always take a break to look at other artwork, like art books, stuff like that, to kind of refuel. I think I fucked up this eyelash. Let's Okay, we're gonna turn that on so we get some reference. Get the eraser. Just make this a little bit thinner. The other hard thing when you do like tablet stuff like this, like when you look at your art like this, it's like really easy to be like, this sucks! Oh my god, look at all the jaggies! But then you zoom out, oh, you're like, whoa, man. No, I added the nostril. It's on the original picture. I always take some liberties when it comes to that, which is fine. Sometimes it's fine to take some liberties. So that looks pretty good. It may not be the best because I think the let's see. Yeah, I think. I think I need. Some might say that this is kind of cheating. I don't consider it cheating. Well, I can't get it to work. Sometimes you have to do this. I don't consider this cheating because you drew it. You should be able to do what you want with what you draw. You know what I mean? So no, I don't want to do that. I want to move it. They changed this and like it's. There we go. Oh my god. Let's see. This gun is there. And then this has to move too. That's good. I think I think I need to push the eye a little bit back or make it bigger. You know what? I'm gonna erase both eyes. Fuck it. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sorry, eyes. Gotta make Trani blind a little bit. Because as I said, I'm looking at the reference and I noticed there's something wrong with it, and I realized like the edge of her eyelash is like really close to her sideburn, and that was like really far away. So I'm gonna make another layer to kind of go under it so I can sketch it out to see how it would look. So let's make the eyeball like this. I think this eye was well placed, but whatever. So let's see. Let's see. That's better. That is better. Let's see. I'm gonna get my little handy dandy little paper here. Nope, no cards work too. Nope, no cards. Yeah, no cards. But sometimes. So let's see. The top of her eye does not touch the ear. The curl in their eyelash touches the ear. The tip of the ear. So I think I made the ear too high up. Oh, I'm on. Yeah. So let's see. The bottom of the ear should touch here. Yeah, I think that's the problem. So we're gonna lower the opacity here as well. Let's lower that a little bit, and go back here, and layer 2, and draw in the fixes. Erase this entire thing. Let's hide that. Okay. Okay, that's a little bit better. Though this is completely wrong. Because that is more like this. I'm just gonna erase this and redraw that curl, because it's kind of like that. Maybe I made the face too wide. Maybe. Let's let's get rid of this. Do a new layer. Let's try that and see what happens. Let's lower the opacity with this. Sometimes slow down and look at what you're doing. This looks better. It is getting better. Your little teeth line. Grr. She's grurring, dude. That's not bad. I think I like this one a little bit more than the other takes. It's like a better take altogether. I'm gonna redraw the little choker thing. Alright. Now, I usually like to shade, so I sometimes shade in the same layer, which is not a good habit at all to do. So I'm gonna do a new layer just to do it. I'm gonna do basic shading, I'm not gonna do anything crazy, because I'm not amazing with it yet. I always get stuck with it. But, you always should force yourself to break your comfort zone. which I've been trying to do. You know what I mean? So I'm doing her hair first because I know that's solid black. And I can get away with that. But always find something you want to draw, like something that gets you excited. That's like, oh man, I really want to draw that. I've been itching to draw like Tarani for a long, long time, and now I finally get my opportunity, which is pretty exciting. Oh my god. And I will say this: if you want me to like look at your work, which I don't know why you would, I guess, you can send it to me, uh, be it DMs on Twitter, on Discord. I don't know if I have a specific Discord channel of it. I might add it to the Discord now after I said this, but there's gonna be a Discord channel where you can post your work, share it, and if you want me to like go over it in an upcoming Artcast, that's cool too. Let me know. I'll be like, hey, look, I drew this. Do you mind going over it in the next Artcast and like explain like that kind of stuff? And I'm willing to do that. I mean, I can't really do whatever, but I can look at it. Don't be afraid of criticism. When I was in college, I used to be like kind of this hard ass can't talk critic, and a lot of people did, like, I think a lot of it was like stuff I didn't really like. I don't know what it is. I think it was just, like I had a high standard for my stuff, and I kind of applied that to everyone else. And then like I also thought that like the point of because in my class we would have to like line up our work on the wall and kind of critique each other's work back and forth. And I always thought that like okay, the point of this is to be like a little bit critical and like really for like push people to do better. But I think I was like being too ridiculous with it. Uh, but at the same time, people shouldn't be afraid to say, hey, this sucks. Uh, because a lot of times, like, I mean, of course, there's always going to be like people that might just say it just to say it and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't hurt to always look at your work and be critical of it. But also show it to other people. You might be you're your own harsh critic, but there's always going to be someone that's going to be like, hey, that's really cool, and you might get like a different perspective on things. Like sometimes, the criticism might not be for that particular work, and you might need to hear a compliment, and that compliment can also give you an idea of what to do next. Like, oh, this is really cool. I think you could just push this idea a little bit more, and it'll be like something else. I don't know. Like you have to like, you have to be excited about stuff, and sometimes I get excited when I get criticism too. Sometimes. Because it shows that someone actually like looked at the work, and they might not like appreciate it sometimes, but it's still exciting to see people say stuff about your work. I believe in my that some people have told me like I got like I'm getting better, and it's just like I oh my god, and it blows my mind. On the same coin, I've also heard people say like, oh, you don't like clean up your lines very well. Your shading sucks, that kind of stuff, and I agree with that. I think that these are all shortcomings that I can kind of overcome in time. But it's stuff that you have to kind of get used to. You have to like kind of go over and be open to a lot of these changes that some people might demand, not demand, but recommend. So I'm doing like this little shade here. But, if you're not afraid of criticism and you try, it's going to show up in your work. Like, you never be afraid of making something that's bad. Be more afraid of not trying because of it. It's one thing to try and fail than to fail and not try. Because if you're not trying, then, what were you really doing? But if you're trying and you failed, you're like, you know what, I tried. Might not have been a good attempt, but I tried, and I want to keep trying. Don't shoot yourself down. And I think a lot of people are focused on oh, you gotta criticize, man. You gotta be okay with criticism. Criticize. Criticism makes us whole, and I think criticism isn't inherently bad, but I do think that sometimes you want you want to focus on the good things. You want to focus on hey man, you tried. Like a lot of people want to shoot down the idea of just being semi-kind to people, oh, the participation ribbon debate. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's fine. You're giving people hope that they could get better when you do. You're not giving them the award of doing it, but you're giving them hey man, you tried. You weren't good, but you tried, and that might give them more of an incentive to try. And some people work better when they're just told, hey, you suck, fuck you, you failed, and that might drive people to work. But it might also be beneficial to say, hey man, you tried, and you didn't try hard enough, but you tried, man. You did a really good job. What you tried to do, you just didn't nail it yet. And I think that's what should be the focus on stuff. And I think there's a mix of it. I'm not saying that we have to coddle everyone and all that, but I think you should give people more of something to lift them up, because sometimes you're already feeling down about what you're doing, oh my god, this sucks, and you're already feeling down as it is. And I think if you just focus on the positives of it, of trying and trying to do something that might get you in a better place, that's different. I'm not gonna focus on oh, this isn't a great Tarani. It's not, man. I'm not gonna focus on that. I'm gonna focus on hey, you know what? This at least looks like her. I can look at this and say, yeah, that's Tarani. That's Tarani, baby. But it's still a work in progress. And you're only gonna get better. You're only gonna keep getting better if you keep trying. And that is the takeaway I want people to have when they do art, is that hey, you're, as long as you tried, you don't have to be a master. I'm not a master myself, and I'm doing this video kind of going over it. I'm sure someone's gonna sit there and be oh, these are bad suggestions, but I'm giving you what I think is helpful, and I think it's helpful to understand that you need to try in order to know what you're doing. If you don't try, what are you doing then? I'm giving her a base skin color. I think this is a fine base color. I'm gonna make the brush a little bit bigger so you get through this. Procreate has good pressure sensitivity. Now that's the one thing I like about the iPad Pro, is that it does a decent job with it. Some people might prefer actual tablets and all that. I don't think there's anything wrong with using an iPad. It's a good alternative. I know Wacom finally made a cheaper tablet. I think that's $400 or so. That's as a built-in screen. I kind of am whatever with that. But you know, the iPad is technically cheaper if you look at when you compare it to Wacom, but some people might want to go with Huan. I think that's how I pronounce it, Huan. Whatever. Which is fine, but I kind of like the iPad a little bit more. It has better portability. It has a good power to it. It's not like an amazing product, but it's not bad. It is better than what you'd expect. I'll put it that way. Like, it's better than what you'd expect from a. Oh my, what? Don't do that ever again. Procreate's a good app. Like, Procreate added so much stuff too. Like, they added like, you can make little animations now on this, and I'm not gonna get into that just yet because I'm not good at it yet. Let's see. I'll redraw that. Well, this is a good shade color. Tarani is like a really cool character. I really like Tarani. She's like a support character. She's pretty much like the mom of the group. Pretty much. She has like a lot of mom energy. She's a cool character. I like her. The voice actress is really cool. She does a good job with her. I like the little dialogue she has with Baotsai and all that. It's kind of cute, kind of cool, kind of moe. You know what I mean? Then we're gonna just kind of go with the eyes. Now your eyes are not naturally like white, so you're gonna want to shade them a little bit. Let's get a dark color for the, yeah, that, a little bit of that. That's not bad. The nose, I think, could be a little bit better. A little bit. I'm kind of curious to see if I can semi-fix this. Let's see. Let's just erase the nose. Oh, the brush is big. The brush is big. No, that looks weird. Let's see. Apparently, I messed up on the eye and the nose. It was a double whammy for me on this one. But I feel like I can get away with this. I think this is fine. It's not like exact. Now it's gonna gotta low-key bother me. Let's try doing something a little bit different. Oh my god. I didn't notice this. That's fine. It's fine. It's a little bit of a cheat, but we don't have to cry over it, guys. We don't have to cry over it. We could just say, you know, it's fine, Theo. We understand. I'm sure someone's gonna be like, oh, we got Theo. Oh. But you know what? We all make mistakes. We all improvise. We can all improvise this. It's okay to improvise. That's like the important thing. It's like we're okay with that. We're okay with improvising. We're all cool here. Sometimes you have to improvise. Sometimes you have to improvise. You know, what can you do? Like you can make anything work. You can make anything work, guys. I think that's fine. It looks like a little bit like Tirani. So I think we'll leave it there for now. I hope you guys enjoyed the Artcast. I would like to thank you guys for watching this episode. I hope you liked what I did for this Artcast. Added different segments to it, changed up a little bit. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next Artcast or on stream. See you when I see you. And remember, if you want to keep supporting me, either go to my Patreon or do whatever you want to do. It's up to you guys. Everything, the power is in your hands. And remember to love yourself and to have a good one, everyone. See you when I see ya.